¿Qué lo que mi gente? Aquí estamos. First and foremost, Anthony, thank you so much. I think, you know, us being, how old are you?
23.
Get out of here, bro. You're younger
Just
than
turned
me.
last week.
Okay,
Last week.
okay. You're in your Jordan year.
That's right.
And then you
That's the
turn
best.
24 when?
January 31st of
Of
next
next year.
year.
Also, you were
I just last week, bro.
happy. Happy belated.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. So, guys, we have Anthony Valenzuela, not to be confused with Venezuela. Anthony, just tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Like where you from, what you do, why
Yeah.
you do it.
Well, thanks for having me. This podcast is awesome. I think the work that you're doing is really important on two fronts, I would say, right? Because I've already seen a couple of your episodes. One, you're educating the public, specifically young people, because I know that's your main audience on politics and
Right,
bringing politicians here to the seat
right,
and asking
right,
them
right.
hard questions, which I appreciate, right? Because sometimes you look at the news and it's like, lob answers, but you really dig deep and try to get
Yeah.
something out of it.
The news is gonna have you be super clickbaity,
Right,
one word responses,
right.
like just say something in 30 seconds.
Right. But you actually have conversations with people, which I think separates your podcast. And then two, you're I love how you incorporate mindset and motivation and transformation into your podcast. So kudos to you, man. Happy to be a part of it. And thanks for having me first and foremost. But yeah, man, I grew up in Miami, 305 till I die.
Oh, yeah.
This is where it's at, and I see myself always living in Miami, raising a family here in Miami. Went to Miami-Dade Honors College, which was go
Nice.
Sharks. Always got to
Right, right, right,
throw out
right.
the fin. And so I did that for 2 years, my freshman, sophomore year, then graduated, went to UF, go Gators.
Right,
Go,
right,
have
right.
you been to Gainesville?
I've been to Gainesville once. Actually was fortunate enough that when I was in my fraternity that sorry about that. Es que esta gente es tan revuelta.
De
When
madre.
I was in my fraternity, my frat brothers had homies in AE Pi.
Uh-huh.
Okay, shout out Israel. And then I got to stay at AE Pi's house,
Yeah.
and then I got to go to what is it, Ben
Oh,
Griffin?
Ben, yeah, yeah.
That's
Ben
what it's
Hill
called.
Griffin, the
Okay, okay, it's
stadium,
both,
yeah.
it's both. Okay, so I got to catch a game. I got to party with them, but do I think I would be well at UF? I don't know. It was a lot of what's this brand called? What's this brand called? A Lululemon.
Yep,
A
yep.
lot of Lululemon. I'm not Lulu.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, man, I did 2 years at UF, loved it, and I'll tell you this: the way I looked at college, quite honestly, both my time at the honors college and then at UF, it was really purely networking for me. Like,
Wow.
I majored in business administration, fairly, simple, nothing complicated. Um, but really, my purpose was networking. See who I can rub elbows with, join student government, join organizations. My whole life was extracurriculars, and it's paid off. I can't complain.
I share that sentiment with you because I knew coming into college that my degree was shit. Like
Mm,
I knew that political science degree,
mm,
what was that gonna get me? Right? Like at the end of the day, all that I do in politics, it wasn't a classroom that
right.
taught me. It was
The
knowing
experience. Yeah.
fulanito,
Yeah.
being in the room with
Yeah. No.
menganito, and having all the haceres tell me and give me that game. So I definitely agree with you with the networking because at the end of the day, we're not in STEM, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're a nurse, if you're an
Right.
engineer, you need
Right.
you need
Right.
individuals to be super knowledgeable, and you get that in the classroom.
Right.
Like engineers and nurses don't need a network. They
Mm-hmm.
already know who their employer is. They already know what they're gonna do. Not
Mm-hmm.
like us that we can have a million clients. How do you relate to that client and
Mm-hmm.
how do you win them over?
Right.
So I got a question for you, bro. So
Yeah.
what would you say is, I guess, the kryptonite or what hinders people our age and their framework or rather their mindset when it comes to education? I view
Mm,
that people put too much on a degree, on a
mm,
school, because they think that because I went here, I'm
mm-hmm.
entitled or deserving.
Mm.
You know what I mean? What's your take on that?
Uh, I'm gonna say education, and the tip I'm gonna give is education just relates to anything. I think the kryptonite for young people I'm seeing here is that people think that tomorrow's guaranteed. People walk around like the world owes you something. People walk around like, no, I'll do it later. Let me use college 4 years to just party, party, party. Now
Yeah.
the mindset is shifted. The mindset is different, right? I think something that you and I share in common, and a lot of your guests that you've had on is our mindset is of this. It's work really hard, especially young, especially now. Like these are your years. You grind, you work hard, you do what you got to do, so that later you can be financially free, so that later you can be successful. But many people, I think, have it backwards. They're like, I'm young. Let's go into that party thing. Let's just waste these couple years, and then I'll worry about work, and then I'll worry
Yeah.
about networking. Well, it could never happen. We never know when our last day is going to be.
Right, right.
But I'm very big on legacy, man, and that ties into legacy, which I know we'll talk about a little bit later.
Man, I can tell that you're like you like history. I can tell that you're somebody who you have a lot of family values and a lot of
Mm,
respect for your elders.
mhm.
W- Growing up, who did you look up to? I know that you're in business with your father,
Yeah,
but I can imagine you had other role models that weren't just your dad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So for sure, my family, my parents, but other than my family, somebody that I've always admired, somebody that I've always like kind of drawn inspiration from is Gary V.
Oh,
Gary Vaynerchuk, right? A favorite here in the office, I can
if you
tell.
no, if you talk to Alex's brother, which is so funny because Alex, his older brother Javier is like my boyfriend forever.
Yeah,
We play football together. He's actually the guy that got me into podcasting,
nice.
and he's a low key a better editor than Alex. I can only afford Alex, not
Sorry,
Javier.
Alex. Sorry.
But dude, he's a super big fan of Gary V, and because of him, I went to a garage sale.
Nice. How'd it go?
I didn't buy anything. I was like, "Go parejo, go parejo, mucho."
Yeah, man. But I love Gary V. And like I consider him a mentor. I don't know him, and he certainly doesn't know me. But nonetheless, like consuming his content, I think one of the things that helps people that maybe don't have a supportive family or not in that positive environment, because I get that a lot, and it's totally understandable, and I empathize with that. Is I tell those folks like lock in. Lock in, listen to Anthony Robbins, listen to Gary Vee, listen to Grant
Yeah.
Cardone, just listen to positivity because if you don't have that positivity at home, like if you're not blessed to have that, you got to get it from somewhere else. You can't just fall victim and say, well, my family, hates me and this is what it is. This is my life. And
And that goes back to mindset because I think, and I'll just come get a little political. I'll try and come
in and out,
in,
in and out.
yeah, with what I've observed, especially working in Arizona, that's truly a purple state. That mindset of
Mm,
how you see yourself in our life, in our system, in our
mm,
society, really will determine how successful you'll be. I think you can truly manifest things. So
mm,
if you tell yourself, I'm incapable, I'm unwilling, I'm undeserving, I can't, you won't, you can't, and that's the truth.
yeah.
And who do you think, or rather said, did you believe in yourself first, or did somebody else believe in you and told you to believe?
For me, it was my parents constantly telling me I'm great and I'm gonna achieve great things. So not that they were lying to me, but I just started believing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, they tell me all the time. I mean, it must be true. Like literally, like since I was young, you're gonna be great. You're gonna be great. You're awesome. You're doing this. Like positive affirmations that you know. 23 years later, I just believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether true or not, I just believe it.
Right. And I'll tell you this. When people talk to me about how you did this or why you did this, and I always say it's like because my mom made me feel like a superhero. Like my mom literally
That's what it is.
made me feel like I was this. I'm still, I'm not the skinniest, but I was a little tiny ball when I was like 5 years old. I was like, man, like I might look like this, but I don't feel like this.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Or we might live in these conditions, but
mm,
she never let me see poverty or she never let me experience a deficit.
yeah.
And I do credit my parents to pushing that idea that I can do it, especially being an immigrant. I was born in
Yeah.
Cuba, and seeing my parents climb this social economic ladder was almost like the proof that
Mm,
I am a superhero. We are awesome. We will achieve. We will do. But then I look at my peers, right? People that I
mm,
went to school with, people that I grew up with, and then I'm like, "Tú estás en lo mismo. Why are you in the same cycle of I go to work, I spend my money, and it kind of goes into. Have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
I haven't.
Okay, Alex actually gave it to me for Christmas. I'm halfway through it, and Rich Dad Poor Dad basically compares this guy, which you've seen the video,
Yeah.
Chinito
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
funny glasses. Eh, he his real dad
Yeah.
is poor dad.
Right.
Because his real dad, much like how our fathers probably did,
Right.
was you got to go to school, you got to get an education,
Yeah.
you need to get something stable, something that'll
Right.
provide
Safety net.
safety, right?
Yeah.
But that's false. That's
Yeah.
not safe because you know what's not safe? Taking all your money and spending it on liability and on rent, no mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
no type of asset building wealth creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
While Rich Dad was his homeboy's dad.
Mm-hmm.
You got so he's juxtaposing like these two fathers that
Right.
he considered fathers in Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he's like, because of both Rich Dad and Poor Dad, I got my mindset.
Mm.
So how can people today change their mindset? And is it an internal thing? Do you need an external factor to come and say, hey, you need change? Is it both?
This is a good question. I think it's a little bit of two combinations. One, we've heard it a million times. You've lived it, I've lived it, so we know it's true, and that is surrounding yourself with good people, good quality people. If you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut.
Damn, that's a bar. That's a bar.
Like right, like if you just keep casually hanging around the barbershop, not trying to get a haircut, eventually you're gonna get one. Right. So if it's the same thing, like if you
A
keep
tape at most.
a, ta-
A tape at
a
most.
little fro, yeah. So it goes to that. I mean, I've lived it. I've certain parts of my life I've lived it with not the greatest influences, not the best people, and it hasn't been a great time in my life. And then I live my life around people like you guys, good people, go getters. Let ponerle gana, like let's do
Yes.
this. And my life totally changes for the better. It's that simple. It really isn't a complicated formula. So I think it's that. And then second part is almost like what we were talking about of our parents telling us that we're great and us believing it. At some point, whether we have that or not, it's us lying to ourselves,
Mhm.
saying, I can do this,
Believing our delusion.
believing our delusion.
Yeah.
Being a little delusional is not a bad thing, as long as it's for the better.
My mom was dumbfounded when I told her I don't want to be a lawyer. I'm not going to law school. I took the LSAT. I hate it. This is whack.
Yeah,
And I told her, I'm going to knock doors for a living.
yeah.
I'm going to be in front of somebody's house. The guy that you shut the door on,
That's
I'm
me.
him. That's me. And I told her, yo, I swear this makes bread. I swear I'm going to come home and make money and I'm going to take care of you, take care of us, and we'll be fine.
Let me ask you a question. What's your craziest knocking on door story?
Do you want like a funny one or like a really sad one? Like, cause I got an
Uh,
arsenal.
funny. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
you like,
don't know.
okay. And it wasn't even political. And this is a little rated X. Okay. So door knocking
Yeah,
works for anything. It could be sales, it could
yeah,
be political, it could be nonprofit. I'm working for a property, public adjusters. I know you
yeah,
know
yeah,
about
yeah,
public adjusters.
yeah.
So what they care about is claims. Like
Hmm.
I'll literally knock on your door, I'll convince you that you got mold on your roof, and in 30 seconds, I'm fucking in your house writing up a contract to represent you on an insurance claim. So I manage a lot of teams, and one of my guys, Carlos, he knocks on this door. We're in Miami Gardens. So this is here locally. What opens is what I can only describe as a certified Calle Ocho P Hub, like double D, like silhouette silky lingerie, crazy Latina with an ankle monitor. The ankle monitor was flashing. Beep,
She was too
beep.
close to the door.
No, 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 no. Yeah, she was too close. Like, you got to go back inside. And we got the deal, but I also think my canvasser Carlos got a happy ending. Yeah, I mean, I did not advocate for it. I had left because what I do is I leave you at the door. I knock with you because I'm kind of like in a training thing, and then
You take it from there.
I go to the next door. It's kind
Right.
of like the Indian run, but canvassing.
Uh-huh.
Like if you already got the lead and you're already
Right.
working it, it doesn't take two people to close one.
Right.
So I leave him. So I'm like, dude, it's been an hour. Where are you? He's not picking up the phone. He's not picking up the phone. So I go back to the door and I knock. And then I knock, and this guy comes out shirtless. Yo estoy, oh hell no. Oh hell no. And I'm not saying he's not an attractive dude. I'm just saying she got an ankle monitor, bro. Dude, and I'm talking about it was like I couldn't make this up. Like she looked like como tú te pones una bata casa,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
wasn't like the grandma ones. It was like the sexy ones.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I mean
Wild.
he closed on two fronts. He closed. He really closed. And then I was like, you can never do this ever again. And I,
Where's Carlos today?
not here. Not here.
Carlos, if you're
Not
listening,
Carlos is not here right
what he's
now.
watching right now.
Oh, maybe. Who knows? I keep in contact with everybody, but yeah, that was not that was crazy. That was like, and then obviously when you door knock, people give you waters, people support you, you get your
Yeah.
door slammed in your face.
Yeah.
Right, of course. And then I would guess the scariest one is I've had numerous guns upped on me
Mm,
for sure, and a lot of ironically, the most of them have happened in Colorado.
really?
Yeah. And
People
that's
don't
not
mess
even.
around.
No, I can't. It's fear, bro.
Yeah.
People are scared,
Yeah.
dude. Like, again, I'm a stranger talking to you about strange things, not in a strange place because it's your home, but there's so much fear
Yeah.
when somebody knocks on your door, like, le da un miedo.
Mm,
Last, in Georgia, I was knocking in an apartment complex, and this young kid,
mm,
I can imagine that there's a history here
mhm.
because just the energy he gave me, he came out of the door recording almost like if I was going to do something to him. Like he felt the need to protect himself
Right.
from me.
It's crazy.
So door knocking is interesting. It can get boring at times, but you gotta make it fun.
I knocked on doors in Hialeah
Oh,
for Robert Alonso
oh, okay, very nice.
for a
He's
whole song.
the
School
school
board.
board.
School board, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. And how was
Well,
that experience for you?
that was great, man. Hialeah is a fun place to knock.
Did you speak a lot of Spanish?
I did, yeah. So
Mhm.
that forced me to fine tune my Spanish,
Okay.
but it was good. It was a great experience. One funny story, but valuable, is that I knocked on the door of Robert Alonso's opponent without knowing.
I was he cordial?
So I'll tell you. So this is in Miami Lakes now. So
Okay.
she lives in Miami Lakes.
The upper crust
The
of the
upper,
Hialeah,
yeah. So we have WebElect,
of course.
so it just tells you the name and
Mhm.
whatever. And so I didn't recognize the name, and I go to the door, I knock on it, and I recognize the lady, and it's his opponent at the time, right? They were running against each other, and she starts ripping me apart. 'Cause I have
How could you
Robert
call me?
Alonso, yeah,
That's a
yeah,
trash.
yeah, yeah.
Tell boy that.
Exactly, all that. And I'm like, what the hell? What the hell just
Yeah.
happened? So I leave. Robert's like two doors down. I tell Robert about it, and I'm like, Robert, let's just get out of here. You have no idea. She's wild. And Robert is like, no, let's go knock on her door. So I'm like, aquí se fumó la cosa.
So you go with the candidate to kind of make appease the situation.
Peas. And so Robert, to not to my surprise, because Robert's a good guy, but what I really took away from it is, so the lady starts ripping into him now, and Robert, doesn't go to her level. He just, hey, look, at the end of the day, we're neighbors. Whatever you need, we're here to, work things out. Answering her questions, like totally unarmed her,
De-escalating
totally de-escalated. So that was something that I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
and observing that in real time, you're like, damn,
Yeah,
this guy got sauce. Like,
it's sauced up. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
bro, tell me about real estate, bro.
Yeah,
Like, you know, you are the youngest broker in Miami.
that's right.
Bobby, I'm not gonna lie, I am so impressed with how humble you are
Thank
because
you.
it's like my head would have been exploding. Like I tell my lady, I tell my very close friends this. I'm like, dude, I will never portray
Yeah.
that I'm him,
Hmm.
but I'm him. You know what I mean?
Him, we
And I
know.
feel it,
Yeah,
but because I hate when somebody got it and they feel the need to
yeah,
flash,
yeah.
to brandish.
Hmm.
Like we know, we can just see.
Yeah,
We don't need to
the
for
extra.
you to tell me and
Right.
fucking push your envelope. So how does that feel, bro? Like,
It's awesome,
cause
man.
that's a flex. Like,
Mhm.
cause youngest anything is a flex.
Yeah, yeah. You already
Mhm.
know. It's awesome. I love real estate. So I'm a real estate broker, and so what I do is largely what I do is represent buyers and sellers, people looking to rent, investment, home buying, first time home buyers, just like a real estate agent, but I have my broker's license. And I tell people the reason why I love it so much, and I don't, even though I'm stressed at times, like we all are, even though we love what we do, is that our why, I'm going to speak for all of us here, is strongly rooted. My why is incredibly strong. Therefore, when I have bad days, it doesn't throw me off.
Right.
And that's, that can be a whole nother episode. But I love real estate because I'm quite literally, Nadir, representing clients achieve the American dream. When you think about somebody buying their home for the first time, we're talking about somebody who has worked 3, 4 jobs at a time, somebody who has saved up their entire life
Yeah,
money to purchase their largest transaction they're ever going to do.
yeah.
And for me to be in charge of that, to be in
A
control
lot
of
of
that,
responsibility.
wow, I mean, what an honor for somebody to trust me with their purchase of a home or selling their home. I mean, we're talking a lot of money, a lot of responsibility, legal stuff. I mean, what an honor. And
Mhm.
that's my why. Helping
Yeah,
people get out of sticky situations, many times divorces to something else, a new chapter of their life.
yeah.
And I'm a part of that. Man, I'm all in.
And what got you into that? Was it your father? I know
Yeah.
it's like a family thing, but did you ever have anything else that you were passionate about
Yeah.
that you wanted to pursue?
It, I grew up going to open houses. I was like
Oh,
4 years old with my dad, right? Going
mhm.
back to my dad, doing open houses, going to showings with him. So growing up, I already understood real estate. I
Mhm.
understood the lingo at a very young age. So I knew I was going to go into that, and that's what allowed me to go into college purely for networking. Not so much like
Because you already
well,
coming into college, you knew
I knew what I was going to do.
that the knowledge is gonna come, but what you need is the contacts
The context, and to be a real estate agent, you don't need to go to college. So I could have started 4 years earlier,
earlier.
which I thought about it.
Really?
I thought about it. I'm like, man, it can make some
That's
good
the
money.
Gary V.
Yeah,
That's the
that's the
Gary
Gary
V. And
V.
you're like, why go to school?
Well, I go
Just
to school.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was great, man. I love real estate. Miami's a great place to do it because, funny enough, like if you go to like half the other side of the country where it's cold, real estate stops for 4 months, completely stops.
Why is that? Because of the weather?
There's a blizzard. You can't do an open house. You can't.
Right. Who's gonna pull up
Nobody wants to go see houses here in Miami. It's
24/7?
24/7.
And how would you describe the Miami market? What do you see
Yeah,
in terms of like the interest rate? And could you just briefly explain to us
yeah,
how the interest rate is set and how does that affect like the economy, people's doing?
yeah,
And I'll tell you what, when I bought my house, I was able to get a 5.49
yeah.
interest rate,
That's good.
and that was last year.
Yeah, that's good.
So, I mean, shout out my credit though.
So where do you live now?
I live in West Miami. I live right off of it, Palacio Loju.
So the city of West Miami?
Yes, but I'm under Manolo. So I'm D4
Oh,
Miami,
okay.
not city of West
Right,
Miami.
right, right.
So I can't do nothing with Eric. I can't, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's like um I guess it's the annexed part of the Gables because my
yeah.
zip code is 33144, which is Coral Gables.
Right,
So I could
right.
put Coral Gables or Miami. I put Miami, but I can claim Gables when I'm in
You
those
can put Gables. Yeah,
conversations.
man. I
No, I
live in
live in
Coral
the Gables. I
Gables.
live in the Gables.
Yeah, man. So it's super interesting. The great thing about Miami is that the market's just always hot. It's just everybody wants to come here. And so you got a lot of what we're seeing a lot in Nadir now is a lot of investors, a lot of people in Southern America, Peru, Nicaragua, all these places where it's very left leaning, very
Yeah.
sometimes even communist. They've realized the people with money there have realized, man, my money's not safe here. So they
Uh,
invest it in the United States, and what better investment than real estate, and what better place than Miami,
I never really thought about it like somebody that lives in a not so stable place,
right?
which is about the whole world, right?
Yeah,
Thinking, hey, because again, if you're a business owner, if you're somebody that has money and you want to protect it, what are you going to do? Put it somewhere safe,
right.
right? That's why we go to banks. That's why we have things that are insured. That's why there are these laws that
Yeah,
protect our
and those
money.
things don't exist in our
No,
countries.
no.
And so, real estate is one of the safest investments for anybody. It
Mhm.
appreciates incredibly, as we all know. It's crazy. And so, real estate in Miami, a lot of investors from all over the world are putting their money there, which is, a safe bet because whatever you buy now is crazy. I mean, we've lived it, we see it because we're here in Miami. What you buy now for 300,000 in 5 years,
It's double, literally double.
I mean, that's a great way to.
I was looking at houses because my hobby is going on Zillow and pretending. Maybe I'm just going Zillow like this is me soon.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
swear.
yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, how can the average middle class American that makes 50 to $60,000, how
Impossible.
can they afford a house? Unless you match down with three of the homies and you all faction off efficiency off the house, how do you do it? And then how can somebody build wealth in an economy like ours? Like what? Like I guess the answer is you can't, but there has to be a way.
Prices for everything have gone up, but salaries haven't gone up.
Yeah, there's no adjustments and
There's
nothing.
no just, and then you factor in, guys, that transportation in Miami sucks.
Yeah, time out.
If you work in Brickell, like a hot hub spot, like in not hospital, like hotels, what is it called? Uh,
Hospitality.
Hospitality. If you work in hospitality, usually someone that's not making too much, minimum wage.
Mhm.
And okay, fine, maybe if you live in Brickell and you can walk to work, you can't live in Brickell working in hospitality. Where
And
do those
work in
people live?
Westchester.
They live like down in Homestead. So now you're adding commute to
Mhm.
that burden. And you can't take now you gotta get a car. Now you gotta pay gas. Now you're spending
Gotta
2 hours every
insurance.
day. You gotta pay insurance. It's just unbearable. I don't know. At some point it's gonna break
Yeah.
drastically.
And that's why I was always like, living in European cities, I get a little jealous because I'm like, I mean, I'm not jealous of their tax rate, that's for sure. But I get a
Yeah.
little jealous of like the quality of life.
Yeah,
Because if you have to sit in a car for 2 hours,
dude.
that's not quality of life.
No,
That's not quality of life. If
no.
you have to get all these, jump these hoops
Yeah.
to get the same thing, your quality of life goes lower. So, what do you think from a real estate standpoint
Hmm.
when you go to your clients and you're looking at this one property, but it's well over their budget, but it meets their needs? Does it sell itself? Do you feel like you have to um
Hmm.
tip them into this direction, or do people just naturally understand like, yo, I don't want to go to Homestead because I'm gonna spend 10 years of my life in traffic if I live here for
Literally.
the rest of my life?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's interesting because nowadays when you're buying a home in the home buying process, now it's not so much of what's the most convenient for you,
It's what you
because
can afford.
it's what you can afford and what it is. It is what it is. Before, you could be a lot more picky, like, I want to be close to work, I want this, I want a pool, I want this. Now you're buying a house with understanding that you're gonna have some not things that you're looking for. Away from work, no pool, one less bedroom, but it is what it is. It's the best worst thing
Yeah, I
and for
got you.
many people. But then if the people who have money, you can live close to work. You can have all these commodities that
Yeah,
somebody just making it, but that needs a house. They need a house. So the product that we sell as realtors it's always there. It's a necessity many
right.
times. And so that's that, right? And so, but that brings us back to what the market is looking at. A lot of renters, because folks that can't afford to buy a house, which is almost everybody,
Yeah,
but they need to live somewhere.
everybody
You
needs a
got to
place to stay.
rent. You got to rent.
And why do you think that, or rather said, not why do you think? It's more of a, where do you see this going? And do you think that the upcoming election is going to affect
Hmm.
the market prices, the interest rate, um, just overall?
Yeah, I think you might have some good insight into this, but what I've seen is that on election years, everything pretty much stays stable,
Okay.
right? The Fed doesn't try to move too many things so that the current administration can take credit for it later on. Everything kind of chillaxes a little bit.
Okay.
But I have heard, and I wouldn't be here if I knew for sure, but that the Fed might decrease their interest rate a little bit throughout the year. And so what that does is when interest rates decrease, is that takes a bunch of buyers into the market. Now
Right.
people really want to buy to take advantage of a low interest rate, and but the supply is usually the same. People are chilling, and so that what that does is increase prices, because now
Mhm.
you got a whole bunch of demand because people are going out and I want to buy for these low interest rates, and
Not
there's
enough
not the
sellers.
supply, right? The supply hasn't gone up that much either, and so that's when prices may increase if the interest rate continues to go
Right, because if
down.
you have so much demand, not enough supply, is it more
Simple,
expensive?
simple, yeah,
Like that part, I don't know if it was 2 years ago, but they were like, "There's already a bid on the house. He hasn't even seen it.
yeah,
He
yeah.
ain't even seen it."
Yeah, like 20, $30,000 over. Like that's what we lived during COVID. Like open houses, you would have a line outside of the street. Like if you
Uh,
were a seller, you were golden during that time.
no.
Golden, because you can get anything you wanted. Anything. It's crazy.
I want to shift with you to talk a little bit about mindset,
Yeah,
to talk a little bit about, I guess, in the context of our age group.
yeah.
Do you identify as Gen Z?
I am Gen Z, so
Time out. If
yeah,
you're 23, that means
yeah.
you were born in 2000, right?
2001.
Yo,
I wish it was 2000. That would have been cool.
yo. You know, somebody being somebody that was born in 1997, I'm not like I take a lot of credit
Mhm.
that I'm a 90s baby. You're
Yeah.
not a 90s baby,
No,
dog.
no.
You're not a 90s baby, but I know you have that 90s baby energy. Like I
Mm.
know you watch Ed, Ed and Eddie. I know
Yeah.
you fucking
Yeah.
ate your sugary cereal Saturday at 8 in the morning watching what was that Foster's Home for
Oh,
Imagination.
yeah.
Um what do you think is the biggest issue with our generation? What do you think is our biggest limiter?
Mm.
What
Mhm.
is stopping us from doing the things we say? I characterize our
Mhm.
age group as activists. I really do think that we care more than our predecessors. I think we've inherited more bullshit than our predecessors.
Mm.
And I also think that growing up in this time is harder than what it was growing up from our predecessors. But we're entitled as hell.
Mm. I think that what plays into that is instant gratification world that we live in. You order something on Amazon and you expect it the same freaking day.
You know?
Yeah, right. We expect things quicker from people. I've also noticed that some people expect all this success but don't want to put in the work. Like I feel like some younger people are losing that grit. That like let's get roll up our sleeves and let's get to work because we're used to being given everything.
Yeah.
for generalizing here, right?
Right, right.
There's exceptions for sure. I would say most young people got it going on, but then there's some that just like really like are a little bit slow to the plate, and that's okay. Like the good news is that there's a lot of fixing. But I'll tell you this, which I'm curious to know what you think about it. I think now more than ever, the barrier to entry
It's
to
non-existent.
I was
If
gonna
it's
say low. I
non-existent,
was gonna say low, but
no,
yeah.
it's non-existent.
So if you want to stand out as a young person
It's
under
non-existent.
30, if you try just a little bit, bro, that guy's the
But
best.
but it's effort, dude. It goes back to like wanting this, dude. Like I'll give you my story, and then I would love to hear your story.
Yeah.
I got into politics off of an observation.
Mm.
So I was always like into it growing up because I was like,
Right.
that's cool.
Right.
I was a history buff. I was fascinated by like, for example, bro, if I could have a job, I wish I could just write what all major history like Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, like I would love to know, dude, what did you feel
Mm.
in this moment?
Mm.
Like when you decided to fucking sit down and do nothing as a protest, what did you feel
Mm.
in your gut? Like history book won't tell you that. So
Right.
that has always fascinated me. So I kind of, I guess, romanticized the idea of becoming that guy because I was like, I feel scared.
Right.
Or I feel like I'm doing like I'm standing on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always think about like how did Jose Marti feel when he wrote this like super sissy poem about this? And I just think about that in a
Mhm.
history context. And then I got enamored with the idea of, well, I want to be in a history book. And
Mm.
maybe it's all ego, maybe it's all because I have hubris and I can at
Mm.
least acknowledge that I do. I started this off from an observation. I interned for Ani de Flores, and I looked at her campaign, which is a traditional Republican campaign,
Mhm.
right? And she had the campaign manager, she had the consultant, she had the campaign office, she had the interns. I was the intern. So I'm just looking at this whole group organization and I'm like, you know what's missing here? There's no young people.
Mm.
The consultant, Stephen Ferreira, God bless him. He's amazing. He's doing great things with Manolo. Um, had a crew of older age folks because that's typically who's a canvasser. If we look at the work group, the age group, right? And I've abused this, especially in my pitches. I abuse this point that if you look at what makes me competitive, I have youthful individuals that are trying to message to you hope and conviction.
Mm.
A 18-year-old, 20-year-old peppy college kid with all the energy in the world will hit better than
Mm.
the mom, God bless her because she's working trying to make ends meet, but the mom that doesn't have that stamina and has a way higher financial need and very much views this as a job to make ends meet.
Mm.
So just from the optics, I'm winning,
Mhm.
right? And I'm talking about how I created this company and recruited my fraternity brothers.
Mhm.
I went to networking events because if you're in college and I say, hey, bro, I'm going to put $500 in your pocket, you're like, where?
When do you need me?
Right? Because when you're a 20-year-old,
Yeah.
you live with your parents.
Right.
You might live in the dorm. You might get scholarship.
Mm.
You don't have a mortgage. The most you pay is a car and a cell phone bill.
Mhm.
So you don't have this financial. You don't have kids. You're not paying everything, and you're
Mhm.
sure as hell not supporting a family. Maybe you are, not to discredit them, but
Mhm.
the overwhelming majority of my frat bros do not have kids. Now they do because we're older, but and they lived with their mamas or they stayed at Parkview Hall. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I was able to really supply, or how I think entrepreneurship is solving a problem, right? In this campaign space. Bunch of old
Mm.
people, no energy. I'm the juice. Juice standing for join us in creating excitement. I love acronyms, bro. I'll sit here and tell you every acronym. And then I was like, dude, I could do this.
Yeah.
But I took a risk.
Right.
Our generation don't want to take no risk. I
Mm.
want to get all the reward with no risk. So that was my origin. You know what
Mm.
I mean? But I worked 11 months for free.
Mm.
When I was Alfie's campaign manager, Alfonso Leon, now really great personal injury lawyer at Wolfson Law Firm, against Joe Carroyo, my nemesis. You see that little cockroach right there? Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
Right. At least the cockroach will survive the nuclear blast. But my point is, I worked for him for
Mm.
11 months for free.
Yeah.
But you know what that gave me? Access,
Mm.
networking, and
Mm.
what is politics if not just those two things?
Yeah.
Because I got to meet fulanito, menganito, y
Everybody.
todo
Yeah.
eso. And that's my origins. I love where I come from, how it started, but I don't think that would have happened had I not had the mindset of I'm down for it because I see it as investing in me
Right.
instead of I'm just working for free.
Right. I I love that you mentioned working for free because I also work for free for Robert Alonso. Like that summer that I campaigned for him,
Mhm.
in the hot sun every day, sacrifice a whole summer, which is not a lot, but nonetheless, sacrifice a
Yeah,
summer and for free. Now I'm working for him. Now he's opened so many doors for me. Like I think we've people like I wish I could like inject into young people like it's okay to work for free.
yeah,
Especially if you're like super young. It's totally okay. Because you can get so much value from that. You can really get a lot and it's really like you said access. Like finding people that can take you under their wing and give you access and if it's free, hey, that networking, that access that they're giving you
it
is
pays difference.
way more than $500 a month or whatever.
I would bargain that while I really actually paid Alfie because now he helped me with gas every now and then, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I would bargain that the amount of value that
Yeah.
that part of my life has created now thereafter is truly priceless. I couldn't put a dollar to it.
Mm.
Like if you told me, oh, because I worked here, I would have met the mayor, and then in the mayor's office I met this one
It's
guy, and
crazy.
then this guy put me on to him because he was impressed with my work, and all this
Yeah.
bouncing
Happened because
of me deciding to say, hey, I'm gonna do this. And guess what? It might not have worked out.
it might, yeah.
It might not have
Yeah.
worked out. So yeah, of course there's uncertainty, but
Yeah.
I'm certain in me.
Mm.
I'm
Oh.
certain that I'm gonna show up. So I'm not uncertain of the results uncertain because like
Mm.
you said, nothing's promised tomorrow. Ahoy.
Mm.
So I know you have the
Mm.
background in real estate, but was there really like was there anything else that you were like, you know, I'd rather do this. No, Dad, I don't want to go to the showings because I told
Yeah.
my dad my parents are my dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse, so they wanted me to either be a doctor or
Oh.
a lawyer,
Yeah.
super, and I was like,
Nah.
nah,
Nah.
y'all can keep going.
No, I've always real estate has always been a passion, but most recently, I would say politics, like kind of like you, I started getting more like, oh, what's this about? What's this game about? And so little by little, I've tried different things. I've interned for Steve Marion, a lobbyist. And then I worked for Robert Alonso, ran for student government, and became president at Miami-Dade College. So I was very involved in that game at different levels to see what I like, what I don't like,
Mhm.
and I'm still standing. I still like it.
I
So
bet you like lobbying a lot,
it was fun.
but
It's
would you want to do it like over real estate or kind of both?
The way I see it, I want to like really hone in on real estate at least for the next 5 years.
Mhm.
And then after that, once I'm more financially set, more stable, more in my community, I know more as an
Yeah.
individual, then maybe that's the jump into politics or lobbying. But for sure, now it's just real estate.
And what do you like the most about politics, and what do
Mm.
you hate the most about
I
politics?
think what I like the most about politics is what you also like the most about politics, and it's the competition aspect of it, the
Yeah.
game,
The
the
gamesmanship.
game.
Oh, that shit's oh
The
my
like
god, I
like
love
like let's go. Like how can we
that.
be better than the opponent? How can we
Yeah,
like that's the fun part.
yeah. For me, the gamesmanship is just the whole Game of Thronesian, this camp
Yeah,
versus this camp, red versus blue, not because Republican Democrat, but because of colors, right?
yeah.
Um, I love the whole, oh, but this person low key is with this person. Like just that whole kind of
The
drama of
web, the web,
the
the
web of
web.
the network. I love piecing it together. And dude, I love read. I think it's so satisfying
Yeah,
when I observe something and to the average person, it seems like nothing,
right.
but that boy just tried you. That boy just tried you. You know it. He knows it. Nobody else
What are you
does.
gonna do now?
But I know it.
Yeah,
But I
yeah. So that part's fun, and I always tell people, to make a difference to help the community, you don't have to be a politician.
yeah.
Um, there's certainly so many ways, nonprofits, but being a politician is certainly one way to do it, and that just happens to be what I feel is my vocation. I feel like I can use that platform, whatever it may be, as a politician, whatever level, to help my community. I understand my community. I live and grew up in West Kendall, so if I do make a run or something, it'll certainly
Close
be
to
in
Lakes of the Meadows.
close. Yeah, very
I
close.
used to live in Lakes of the
Very
Meadows.
close.
Lakes of the
Yeah.
Ghettos.
No, but it's a beautiful place, and so that's what I love about it. I feel like I can make the most difference through this vehicle. Just so happens to be
Of
politics.
course. What do you least like?
About politics,
Be real. Be honest here. Don't get political.
the game also the same way I love the game.
It's a double edged sword.
It's a double edged sword because I don't like that either.
I mean that
Does that
game,
make sense?
yeah, because I could be positioned in the game where I'm gonna be the winner or I'm the loser.
Right, you want to be on the winning side.
Always, always.
Right.
What I would tell you is, for me, and I genuinely have the interest of helping my community too. I think 99 truly, and I know the public opinion says otherwise,
Right.
but I think almost all politicians at least started out because they really believed in being a public servant and really wanted to make an impact. I think the change happens and the switch in interest happens when
Mm.
you're in it.
Hmm.
And that's why I think in our system, we really should double down on the you can't be in politics too long. Or
Mm.
let's take away the financial incentive to stay there.
Mm.
Because if you couldn't lobby 5 years after, if you couldn't make any income from this job,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The incentive to be a politician or to stay with political power isn't there. What I least like about it, dude, is that, and this isn't even politics, but it's people politics, not real politics.
Mm.
Here's
The
the, I guess,
difference.
politics is showmanship. It's theatrics. It's it's a front.
Mm.
It's a front. Now, what we're talking about, what we're doing is real, but in the way that we execute it, the way how it's portrayed is fake. You really don't like him. You like him because it looks good. Now you might like him,
Mm.
but the majority of y'all don't get along.
Mm.
And that's fine. But there's a bigger picture here. The optics are we're all in cahoots. We all vote the same way, or at least that's what the layperson thinks.
Right.
But little do they know the Republican Party's factioned off in a million camps. And all of them have competing interests. And if they could step on you right now, they would. They just can't because optics. The part that I hated wasn't even that, because I can understand that. I like the gamesmanship. I've played poker face. I'm here. I'll dance,
Mm-hmm.
because I understand that's what we got to do to get to the objective.
Mm.
What I don't like is that politics changes the people around you.
Mm.
I have lost
Mm.
best friends, business partners, companions, clients because of politics.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, politics at its root nature is human emotion manifested in power display, in goal setting, and doing something better. And that has hurt me on an emotional level,
Mm.
where because I brought you into this business and I wanted XYZ, you stabbed me in the back. Or or I worked with this other guy, so now you're gonna talk shit about me because
Mm.
you thought it was a personal attack. It's not personal, it's politics. So I also think it's a double-edged sword, but it's the loss of people around you. I think this is a very lonely job, even though you need everybody to win.
Interesting, right? And I don't know. What do you think about this? Because I'm someone who I think I have what it takes. I really my heart is in my community. Like I
Mhm.
feel like I feel like I'd do good. Humbly, I'd say that. But at the same time, I see politicians and I see what happens to the good ones.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to go through that or even put my family through that. My family's not whoever my wife is. She's not deciding to go into it. And so
Yeah.
that's what worries me because I feel it, and then I see other friends of mine who are good, ethical people who are like, "Yeah, it's interesting. I think I do a
Yeah.
good job." They're outgoing, they're charismatic, but then they tell me, "Anthony, I'd rather make 6 figures, do what I got to do,
Be private. Be
be private,
private.
other than be on the front page for lies and be dragged through the mud." And that's something it's worth thinking about.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because then we lose a lot of good quality people, and
That are scared of running.
we end up with what we have
Yeah.
sometimes.
I I would tell you that you need to be older. I had a conversation with Steve Marin. I work with Steve Marin in a lot of his campaigns. So we have the same client.
Nice.
um, but I had a conversation with and an intimate one. I told him, "Hey, Steve, I got 50K. I'll self-fund myself. I know I could fundraise. I know I could do it. I want to run
Mm,
because it's in my heart.
yeah.
I too want to run. I too want to share these things." And I was at the time maybe 24. This wasn't that long ago. And you know what he told me? He's like, "Do you love yourself? Why would you do that?" He literally was like, "Why would you do that at this part in your life?"
Yeah.
And he ripped me apart. He literally ripped me
Yeah.
apart. But I needed that because he told me this. He's like, "Dude, are you married? Do you have a family? How many houses do you have? How many businesses do you have? Are you, so you're gonna, okay, so you don't got a wife, you don't got kids, you don't have that, you don't, at that point I didn't have, you don't have a house, you don't have this, you don't have that. You're selfish. Your only goal is to improve your condition right now, which is 100% true. I'm trying to
Mm,
grind, bro. I'm trying to build my empire. So if
mm,
I'm a politician who's a public servant, I'm not gonna serve you. This ain't public.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? So he's like, you're not ready to run. You got to build your life. Politics, and this is why most politicians are older, because this shit's a hobby. This
mm.
isn't a career. You're not going to make money off of this. Public servants are not supposed to make money.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to ball.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the ones that do, oh yeah, yeah. And the ones that do, you got to check them out twice. See what's going on.
So that really changed my mindset
Yeah, it's good.
because it's like, he's right. I don't have a Lambo yet. And if I pull up to your door in a Lambo asking for your vote, you're going to be like, no,
Good
because
choice.
who am I representing
Yeah.
being your politician in a Lamborghini? Well, that sounds in my Miami heart of hearts because, what better celebration than to go to a club and spend a bunch of money and display my dominance on, right? That Miami
Yeah.
culture. Then, damn, imagine being the commissioner in the Ashton. No, that's what's wrong. And I have to check myself because that's what humans are. So I think my view of politicians, and this is very Machiavellian,
Yeah.
very Sun Tzu, like, yo, we're evil. We all have ulterior motives. Instead of me lie to you and tell you, nah, bro, I'm gonna just be real. And then you could tell me, I don't like that. But at least you can't tell me I didn't lie to you. Because that's the one thing I hate about politicians. They will lie to you.
Mm,
No, I'm gonna tell you what's up. I'm literally gonna tell you this is why I'm doing it, and if you don't like it, then we can have the conversation of why you don't like it, and I can respect it or not respect it. But that's my choice. It's free will.
mm,
And this gamesmanship is very Games of Thrones, and that's why I think ideologically, because there's a lot of things on the left that I agree with, that I love, but ideologically, I'm more on the right, just because
mm,
it's like I know my nature.
mm,
I'm an immigrant. I want a ball. It's in my DNA. My mom told me to get her out of poverty. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? She did it herself. God bless her. But a and sometimes that could be manifested very communal
mm.
because you're not a billionaire by yourself.
Right.
You had to own land, you had to employ people, you had to create value. And that in of itself is very communal because you're building your community. But let's not kid ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I did this for me.
Mm.
Politicians shouldn't do it for them. And then when I looked myself hard in the mirror after our conversation with Steve, I was like, yeah, nah, let's wait.
Yeah, let's wait a little
Let's
bit.
let's wait a
Yeah,
little.
yeah.
Let's wait a
Smart
little.
move. Yeah, Steve told me the same thing too. It's like, and here's the other thing that's wrong with young people getting into politics too early is that, like you said, you don't have money, so you're more susceptible to be influenced by money, not the
100%.
good kind.
No.
Like, hey, bro, vote for this, and
Yeah.
you don't. I don't want. When I become a politician, I want to vote for what I believe,
Yeah, yeah,
not because someone bought me out.
yeah.
And the only way to do that is to already have money, or not even like,
Almost like Vivek. No, no, and Trump. That's the truth because when you don't have to subscribe to adhere to special interest, you can really be as organic and as authentic as you want.
as it should be.
Yes, but that's a barrier to entry and a super huge one because these campaigns are ridiculous. How are
Yeah,
you going to win? How are you going to be
right.
competitive? So you need special interest.
It's easy. Just be a billionaire.
Right, right.
That's bro. I'll self fund your whole
The whole
campaign.
thing, dale,
Hey,
nothing.
that's a problem. Yeah, yeah, whatever, man. That's crazy. Just make
Damn.
10 figures, bro. Come on. What are you talking
It's like
about?
it's like that TikTok that's that like kind of critiques all of like the red pill. Like
Yes. Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
all right, before you're 22, 10 houses.
Oh man.
Bro, that's cool, bro. And can I tell you something that
Yeah.
I have always told people like yourself and other people that I've met along the way?
Hmm.
My goal when I'm an elected official or if not, but my goal is to create a justice league.
Hmm.
Okay. I think our predecessors, so I always like to compare where we were and where we're at. And again, I
Hmm.
have 26 years of a view, and it's really like 24 because you don't really remember stuff till you're like two, anyways. Um, my whole thing is that our system has always been adversarial, has always been you versus me. zero-sum game.
Mm,
In order for me to win,
mm.
you have to what?
Lose.
You got to lose,
Yep.
right? And while I think our process is the best, a free, fair election, obviously elections get rigged and elections can be manipulated and all this, but that's not a conversation. Point is, we have the best system.
Mm.
Under that view, man, a little bit D, a little bit D, a little bit D, a little bit D, a little
Get it, get it,
bit
get it, get it, get
D.
it. Get it back.
I'd be rambling sometimes. Dude, what I'm just trying to say is I'm trying to create a Justice League, bro.
Yes.
And by that is instead of, hey, I know you and I have the same goal, but I can only be me. I'm gonna invite you to it, and I'm gonna support you because if I support you, you'll support me because you understand that. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And apart from, I want to invite you to the Justice League, but you've already been a part of it. We just never had the conversation. You know what I mean? That it's like
mm,
if all the elected officials, or rather the stakeholders in this system,
mm,
because here's the other thing about politics that most people get turned off by: it's the same cats forever.
mm.
It is this. It is the 30. You could fit every politician in South Florida in in a classroom. You could fit them all in an auditorium, and that's it. That's it. That's it. This
The
is a
movers and
class.
shakers.
Yeah, that's
The
it. The
people.
movers and shakers of our society is like 150 of them at max, maybe. Who knows? Depending on what you
Yeah.
consider. Why not? Since we're all a part of this group, have a gentleman and gentlewoman's agreement that we're not going to do each other dirt. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
and that's where my constructivist view on politics kind of shines. And then I become a bit more liberal
mm,
because all of you guys, at any moment, if it was convenient for you to kill me, again, politically speaking, if it was convenient for you to talk shit about me, to throw my name in the mud, to run negative ads, to go against me, to literally work with quote unquote my opposition, then you would. If it was convenient. But you know what's not convenient? You making an enemy. And that's why, and this is why I'm a fan of nuclear weapons, because that's what it is. It's deterrence. People make decisions off of deterrence, not motives.
mm,
I'm motivated to do everything, but I
mm.
won't, because if I do that, then
Then,
dot dot dot.
right? Good point.
It's all deterrence. So in my Justice League, I'm sorry, and see that's where the selfishness comes in. In our Justice League, and that's real talk, and I have to self-regulate it. Like,
Yeah.
I catch myself when I speak about it, and I think I'm good at it because you got to be a little cutthroat. You got to really tell your client, bro, I'm gonna ride, and lo que pasa pasa. That's why I'm brothers without banners.
Mm.
But you're paying though. But you're paying though. You know what I'm saying? So I really have to self-regulate that,
Yeah.
and I can be the first one to acknowledge that it's how I grew up.
Mm,
It's what I know, and you got to check that.
mm,
So in this Justice League, it is gentleman, gentlewoman's agreement that if you want to position yourself, like just because we have a relationship, let's say you wanted to go for a position,
mm,
because you're my homie, I wouldn't go work for the other guy, even if it was money.
mm.
But I would have a conversation with you, be like, yo, this homie reached out.
Right.
You know what I'm
Of
saying?
course. Yeah.
And that's not how that goes.
Yeah.
I'd lie to you
Mm,
and tell you, yo, nah, he didn't, but then I did.
mm.
You get me?
That's where the problems start.
And
The root.
that is the root of
Yeah.
the issue. And I hope our generation of leaders can have that, like, Justice League. And listen, Superman might be the leader of the Justice League. And guess what? That might not be me. I don't even like Superman that much. I
You're
like the Flash. I like
you
the
like a
Flash
flash.
because I run slow.
I think too, Nadir, like to what you're saying is so beautiful because I think we forget that there's so much success to go around. There's so much. It's plentiful. It's abundant. But for some reason we get in our own heads and we think that if I get success and the other one can't, or if the other
Zero sum
person
game.
has, then there's just everybody could be successful. Everybody could get a piece of the pie. Literally, it's not a fantasy, it's reality. Everybody can get what they want and be good at it. But we got to stop with the cutthroat and this and that and the game. Like just everybody relax. Imagine how much more powerful we could be if we all kind of. This sounds like a very fairy tale, right? How much more
I know
powerful,
you're going Orwellian on me.
or
I'll
yeah,
fucking let's just not get it.
let's just not fight. But imagine if everybody plays to their strengths and
No.
we double down on our strengths and we complement each other, how great of a political system, of a friendship we would be. Will it ever happen? Probably not. I mean, you're in the business, you know that
It's just that there really will always be two sides, if not more sides,
yeah.
to a conflict. And I guess why we'll never not have a job is because there will always be interest.
Mm.
At
Mm.
the end of the day, I take your interest and I manifest it
Mhm.
into some tangible, labored result.
Mm.
It's usually in the metric of doors or hours, right?
Mhm. Right.
The same thing with you. You take that American dream, that sentiment, that desire,
Right.
and you manifest it through the guidance of this whole home buying process.
Correct.
And that's the thing with politics. You voted for me to represent your interest, to improve your quality of life,
Yeah.
to represent your interest. And in this Justice League, which again, I really come from the mindset that most people that come into this arena really want to be champions for good.
Mm.
And along the way, taking down your opponents, winning, scaling up, you lose sight of it.
Mm.
So I hope I don't become my example. That's honestly a fear. Because I could talk all this high horse stuff, but what am I gonna do in that situation? Straight up.
Mm.
And and that's why I think something that I can do is I can look at myself and be like, I'm human, bro. And this is how humans think, and at least this is how I think, and this is how I was raised to think. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong, but it's the reality, right? And what am I gonna do in that moment? You know?
Mm. Powerful.
No, because it's like, think about it,
Yeah.
dude. Like,
Well, at least you're thinking about it.
straight up, like if
People
I'm gonna
don't
be a
think about it.
politician and somebody comes to me like, "Yo, bro, look, we're gonna just take care of your whole campaign. I'm gonna give you 200, and that's it. That's gonna cover your campaign. All I need you to do is make sure that when I bring up an item, you say yes and they say yes.
Right.
What if I don't agree with it?
Right.
But I took your money, and now I'm almost in this unspoken contract with you. And then what if it's in my literal interest, personal, whatever, that I need your money because I put myself in that boat?" And I think the only way to, because shit might take your breath, but I'm gonna let you know that if I don't like it, I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
And there's no amount of pressure, and you could da 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 da. But if I don't like it, because that's why you voted for me.
Mhm.
So I see like you can't buy my vote. You can buy my access.
Mhm.
You can buy
Sure.
my
Sure.
access, right? But if I, in my heart of heart, don't think of it, I'm not gonna do it. And that's I think a big reason also why I've lost friends.
Mm.
Because when friends do you dirty, I can't appease it. I
Mm.
need to call it out. Like for example, when you start your own business with my clients and the people that I brought to you, and then we have this relationship 6 years, da 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 da, I'm not gonna tolerate it.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
And that has been a negative experience for sure. That you lose people that you trust, that you love. And I think if we would have, and it's hard because you have interest, you have your needs, and I will never tell somebody to not achieve. But
Mhm.
we could have achieved together. Oh, you wanted to make more money? Oh, you wanted a bigger role? Let's get into that conversation
Mhm.
instead of just
Slashing it.
slashing it
Yeah.
or cutting me out of it,
Mhm.
so to speak. A But that is the nature of politics, man. And I don't think everybody has the stomach for it. I think I have the stomach for it, but it depends what you eat. It depends what you eat. I know I'm rambling. I'm going on, and I've been talking too much.
I love it. I've learned a lot from you.
Yeah,
That's good stuff, man.
and as well, and that's what I'm saying about the Justice League,
Yeah.
because you're coming to this Justice League because you bring value that I don't have.
Mm.
I compliment you, you compliment me. I have deficiencies, but I know my deficiencies.
Mm.
I talk too much. I might overexpose. I might come off as brash or sometimes rude. My girlfriend says that when we get into fights, I'm sometimes condescending, which I can see that. You know what I mean? But you have to be able to acknowledge these things. I'm sorry, bro. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. No, absolutely right. I love this Justice League idea.
Yeah, it's
I
like
love
you
it.
know what I'm saying? Like you got the Superman, you got the Wonder Woman, you got Aquaman.
That's what we're talking about.
And the
Yeah.
Justice League just doesn't have to be DC because honestly, I want to be Iron Man.
Mm.
And that kind of goes to why I can't be a politician. Because then I'll just pull to the fucking commission meeting in my suit. They're like, "Hold on, you said what?"
Ching! Oh man.
Something like that. Well, what
This is,
superhero would you be?
I like I like Superman. I like Spider-Man a lot.
Yeah,
Spider-Man was my homie growing up.
because he was like younger. What do you
Yeah,
think
I
was
think he was
the
like younger. He was like, like flashy. He was a Riz. He had the
He had
Riz.
Riz,
He had Riz.
but I feel like the different Spider-Mans had like a different appeal.
Yeah, some
Like
were
the
nerdy.
like the Tobey
Yeah,
Maguire one definitely was almost like sad boy Riz.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
like oh I feel bad for myself, but I mean well. And then what was the I think the worst one was the Garfield one.
yeah,
And that was
yeah,
that was a,
yeah. It was a
that
little.
that was just kind of like I guess they were like appealing to like the current age. And honestly, I like Tom Holland Spider-Man a lot. Because I feel like that's really what Spider-Man is like playful, always pushing the envelope, but will always do the right thing.
Get down to business when
Hmm
when you need it. Yeah.
What was the other Spider-Man? I know I missed one.
No, you got all three of them
That's the three.
for the modern movies. You know, Drake Bell was also Spider Man in the cartoons.
The voice.
Yeah, the voice.
Let's go.
I didn't know that.
No, no, let's
Actually,
go. ¿Qué me cuenta? ¿Qué me cuenta? I feel like we've gone like super high and down on the combo. Like we got super dark and serious, and then we started this shit fucking running, and we're like, man, politics really sucks.
damn, bro, that got me heavy. That got
Yeah,
me
yeah, yeah.
heavy. But no, man, just super happy because and the interesting thing about relationships is you never know when you'll need somebody. So never burn any bridges. That's very important. We've been talking about that indirectly. But like for you, for example, man, we'll stay in touch. We'll be friends. All this and that.
Yeah,
But you never know when you need a hand. When I need
for
a hand from
sure.
you, and that's why it's always good to be friendly with people. To
Hmm
not cut bridges. To not be so cutthroat. To hey, we're all here to get some bread together.
Truly,
Truly, and
truly.
complement each other's weaknesses.
And
You
I
know?
don't think that it has to be a zero sum
Yeah. No.
environment.
Mm-mm.
And I think we've been, especially in Miami, dude, where it's like this like dynasty. It really is like camp. When I've done elections in other states, I've noticed that it is very more like kind of boring, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But here it's just so much
Fireworks.
drama.
Phew.
No, for real, it's like this camp versus this
That. Yeah.
camper, this family,
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
versus this family. And it's just, bro. Pero I know you're gonna kill it, bro. I can
Thank you,
see it.
brother.
Like, and this is what I'll tell you. I have low key been following you for like 2, 3 years, bro.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I was almost admired by you. I was
Thank
like,
you,
I was
man.
inspired by you. I was like, oh my God, bro. Like, I love seeing people
Mm.
that while obviously we work in two different arenas, it's very similar stories.
Mhm.
Like you believe in yourself and you chase it relentlessly, bro.
Mm.
And that is something that I admire in people, and I really wish that folks in our age um found it because I
Mm.
think you're driven by your passion.
Mm.
I can imagine that if you didn't really love it, you wouldn't do it with the same intensity
100%.
because you like
100%.
it. Like you actually find you derive pleasure from it.
Yeah.
You're intrigued by
Yeah.
it. Like, you
Yeah.
know?
And I'm inspired by you too, man. You do great work in the community. You have been doing great work. You're a young guy. Like that's what motivates me. And I'll say this as a kind of my last tip that I always leave young people with, especially, is that here's the good news, right? We talked about some of the deficits of young people. Maybe they're not so good things, but we all have it. That's okay. But here's the good news. I believe that everybody, young, old, everybody, has the potential of greatness inside of them. That seed of greatness
Mhm.
is inside of everybody. I believe it. Now it's just a matter of how are you going to water that plant?
Well,
How are you going to unravel
you
that
can't
potential?
you can't water with Coca-Cola. It's not gonna
No,
grow.
that might not work, right? So love yourself, take care of yourself, learn something, read books. I think the person that becomes successful is that person that always wants to learn, that person that understands that even whatever level of success you reach, there's always more to learn. There's always approach life with humility. You never know everything, and if you feel like you do, you're in a bad place.
Yeah.
You never know everything, especially young people. We feel like we know it all. Let me not get a mentor. I don't need it. I don't need that.
Bro,
You need it.
you
You need
need
it.
a mentor.
You need a book, a good book, a mentor, a good podcast. You need to absorb.
Damn, you just gave me two ideas. I want to ask you one question while we're still on this
Yeah.
topic. So is that nature or nurture?
Ooh.
Because nature sets,
Hmm.
but nurture grows. And guess what? Sometimes your nature could put you already at the top and you could
Hmm.
nurture your way down.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But most people, especially with our backgrounds, coming from another country with families from not so stable parts of the world, our nature started here,
Yeah.
but those decisions nurtured us up. And by
Interesting.
the up and down is the social
Up. Right.
economic.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Like I said, I think everybody's born with that potential, that ability to be great and to live their fullest potential. But now it becomes, as through life goes on, it becomes our decision. Are we gonna live up to it? One of the things that I fear, Nadir, is when I pass away, literally or metaphorically, who knows, right? Whatever you believe in. But I what I fear is this: when I pass away, I'm shown a 1 minute clip of what my life could have looked like if I lived up to my potential,
Mhm.
and a 1 minute clip of what my life actually was. I hope that those two 1 minute clips are exactly the
The
same. That
same.
means I
You
gave it all I
gave.
had. But if the 1 minute clip of what it could have been, if I really gave in, is different than what I actually lived, I I wasted, to a certain degree. I wasted that opportunity, and we only get one shot at this thing called
Did you
life.
ever are you on TikTok a lot?
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
Dude, me and my lady's pastime is just like scrolling on TikToks right before bed, which is I think is like the worst thing you can
terrible.
do.
Yeah, but I
But
do it.
that's what it is, right?
Yeah,
So there's this TikTok because I'm on Red Pill. Like I love the whole
yeah,
mentorship, that
yeah, yeah,
side of TikTok. And the guy, not the guy, but like the video literally showed like in blocks your
yeah.
entire life. Like this block represents a week.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the weeks you have. What are you gonna fill these weeks up with? And I think that you're right. People do have the ability for greatness, but I guess my disagreement with you would be that where you feel that it's innate,
Mm,
I think that's definitely nurtured into you. Because,
mm,
for example,
mm-hmm.
evil is taught,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Evil is taught. Doing a bad job is a desire, but all of this is nurtured. What I'm trying to say is that like that
Mm,
greatness
yeah.
has to be instilled. Kobe went to the gym at 5 a.m. and there not therefore, but all of the things that came after was a result of his commitment and the nurturing of skill,
Mm-hmm.
right? I also believe that everybody is capable of achieving it, but if you don't like
Yeah.
if your mom and dad and my mom and dad didn't make us feel like superheroes, we wouldn't try so hard
Mm-hmm.
because we wouldn't equate being super to trying hard and and having perfectibility.
Right.
You've made many mistakes.
Yeah.
I've made many mistakes.
Yeah.
You make less as you grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Experience. You fall down. You're like, okay, let me not fall down that way.
The
Boom, boom, boom.
nurture.
The nurture part.
The nurture.
100%.
And that behavior I think has to like we have it in our nature, but it's innate. It's
Right.
dormant. You have
Right.
to tap into it. Damn it, then I forgot my second point. God damn, Doug.
We have to do another
I thought it's
podcast
not yeah, like
with all
why
the
were
points that
we
you forgot.
oh, no.
Yeah.
7 minutes to be exact.
Okay, okay. We are in the descent. Descent, descent.
I
Phew.
let's wrap this up and cool little like
Outro.
3 minute outro.
Yeah. Okay, but just real quick, Anthony,
Yeah.
what is something that you're hopeful for our generation? What is something that you think will for sure be what we're remembered for? Not you,
Mm.
me, but like
Our
our
generation, or
generation.
people. I really hope, Nadir, and I'm hopeful and realistic. I think it's a realistic hope, is that we're gonna be the generation, the young folks coming in now, that will at least lessen the divide in our country and our communities. Because right now it's pretty bad. Right
Right,
now,
between rich and poor, able, not able.
yeah, just I feel like right now everybody's highlighting everybody's differences in all different
Yes, yes, yes.
factors, right? Right, monetarily, economic, like everything politically. It's just divisiveness is like has a spotlight on it. Yeah, I don't want to put blame on anybody or whatever. It is what it
Right.
is. But I'm really hopeful that this generation, this young generation, can really start connecting the
Mhm.
dots. And look, yes, we might look different, we might come from different places, make different money, different. That's fine. That can't really change all too much. But nonetheless, let's find common ground to make this happen, to live a better life, to better our children's lives.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, and I think we're gonna get there. Because right now it's pretty bad as things are.
I also think we're gonna get there, and this is like my non-Machiavelli side.
Yeah,
We will get there. Pero man, is
a
it
lot of
gonna be
work, man.
tough? It's gonna be. We're more back than leaning into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we're falling back
But
now.
but
We
dude,
need to.
I would definitely love to have you on again, bro.
This is
This was
great,
cool.
dude.
Honestly, this was the podcast that I feel like I was the most myself.
I
Because I
love it,
feel
man.
like whenever
Yeah.
I talk with like, elected officials or to be honest, more grown folk, and you're grown as fuck. Like let me not say
Hey,
that.
hey, hey,
We're
hey,
grown
hey.
here. I mean
Yeah,
like
hey, hey, I
different
got you.
type of I feel like I have to be more reserved. This was very freeing. I feel like this was the podcast where I really like Like, said it how it was.
This is like a therapy session.
Truly, truly. And my lady also says I need therapy. I mean, I need therapy too, but that's not even.
It's another podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. Bobby,
But
thank
thanks
you
for
so
having me,
much,
man.
bro.
Awesome,
Hell
bro.
yeah.
Awesome. Alex, the man.
Thank you.
Wow, this was lit, bro.
This is awesome. It
Yeah,
wasn't fire? You know,